Hi there. Thanks for stopping on in this session. I'm Jorge Maia. I've been working with IoT in the last 8 years. Nowadays, I'm the principal IoT solutions architect on Crazy Tech Labs here in Brazil. It's a pleasure to be here today with you. And we will talk about IoT data. IoT data focusing on the data path of OPC UA from the edge to the cloud. Okay, on this session we will briefly introduce some aspects of the OPC UA and the IoT Edge and the Azure IoT Edge, of course, and then we will move to a demo on a real environment, a demonstration real environment, okay, with a simulation of an OPC UA server. So let's move on. The OPC UA, it's impossible to talk about IoT on industrial today without talking about OPC UA. So OPC UA is the Open Platform Communications Unified Architecture. It was released in 2008. It's an open standard for horizontal communication from machine to machine, and for the vertical communication from machine all the way to the cloud. So the idea is, it is vendor and platform independent, and of course supports extensive security mechanisms. Without security today, no projects go and move forward, okay? This is a service-oriented architecture. You can see on the diagram, it's a multi-layered architecture. We can talk with OPC UA to vendor-specific extensions, to CNC machines, to robots, to PLCs, for example. Today we will simulate a PLC over here on the demonstration, and on the middle we have the layer of the OPC UA, and we can connect as a client server or as a pub sub subscription. Okay, and then we can map to specific protocols. In today we will talk about integrate the OPC UA on the edge to the cloud using AMQP, for example. And you can use many others on this middleware, if we can talk about this as a middleware. Okay, we can't talk about the industrial without edge. So we have the OPC UA. It's an important thing. And now we need the edge. The idea of the edge is the computing as a distributed IT architecture, and which data is processed as close as it needs. So we are talking about processing data on the source, on the edge. When we are inside a factory, for example, we need to translate protocols, we need to process information, we need to present as a human interface. For example, we have to introduce some machine learning to take some actions after see some insights from the data, and of course, we have to process messages. We have to process messages from CLP, for example, passing through the internet, and then going to specialist systems, to presentation layer, to applications, to mobile applications. And we have several protocols, we have several challenges on the edge that we need to address. And when we need to do this, doesn't make sense to send all through the cloud and then come back to the edge with a message to take an operation, to run an alarm, for example, to stop a convey. It doesn't make sense, okay? So you have to use edge. And when we talk about edge, Microsoft Azure has the Azure IoT Edge. And here on this diagram, we can see some components. When we introduce and use the IoT Edge, the Azure IoT Edge, we need an IoT Hub. The IoT Hub will bring the IoT Edge to the live. So I can create a device. It's a device typed Edge device, IoT Edge device. And on the IoT Edge device, I have a runtime that will take care about modules. Modules are containers. So if I have containers, I will need a container registry on the cloud to provide me these images with safe. So I have to secure that. Of course, I can use other container registries, okay? But on this case, we are presenting the Azure Container Registry. And I can use it on the developer, on the development machine, and I can use it on an IoT Edge. An IoT Edge, I can understand an IoT Edge as an edge server. I can understand an IoT Edge as a device that I can use an operational system, okay, like Linux or Windows. I can use a small hardware with a constrained memory and processing, okay, and I can run some services on that. And is on the top of this idea, on the top of this architecture, that I will present to you a simulation environment that we will use on the demo today. So on the demo today, we will have an OPC UA simulated server. We will create a simulated server. This simulated server will provide data to an OPC publisher module. This is a container image that will run inside the IoT Edge. And then I will use a custom module, a C# protocol translation and alarms. I'm calling protocol translations and alarm because it's a good idea for you. You can translate this message that comes from the simulated server. You can do some transformations on that, and you can understand this data. Maybe the temperature, the acceleration of an electric motor, for example, is not good, is not inside your parameters. So you have to run an alarm, you have to stop the convey, for example. So you can do this because you are on the edge. And you can change this by just publishing a new image to a container registry. And then you can use this image inside many of IoT Edge devices. Those are IoT Edge devices you can control from the IoT Hub. So the IoT Hub is the father, if you can say father to this environment. But the IoT Hub will control this, will ingest the telemetric messages, will control the device twin, so we can save properties, we can send commands to that. To configure, for example, the OPC publish module, you have to send, of course you can use some files on the edge and other methods to do this, but you can send a method from the IoT Edge, from the IoT Hub, sorry. Okay, and then you can configure, like, oh, you should listen to these variables, and you can change the variables. Okay, on the Azure environment, I will just connect it to time series insights. Okay, just to show you, man, we have some data, so we should present this data. Okay, it's just to present this data. It's not we go deeper on that. All right, and here we have our data path from edge to the cloud. First of all, we need a simulated server. And on this simulated server, I will have 3 variables. Method working, like true or false. Counter, 1, 2, 3. Here I can use a counter. Here I can use another number that you prefer. For this example, a counter is a good idea. So we go from 0 to 80, I believe. We will see on the simulated server, and we have the vibration over here. Okay, the simulated server will provide an OPC UA server, and I will use a pub/sub client on the OPC publisher module inside my IoT Edge. Okay, and it will ingest about 180 variables per minute, right? And then I will route this. I will group all messages from 1 second. So maybe I will have 3 messages per second, because the time of the simulated server is 1 second. So I have 3 messages in a second. I will group this, I will put it inside an array, and then I will send this message to a message processor. The message processor is a C# module, a custom C# module inside the IoT Edge that will receive this message, will process this message, and then send it to the output. And on the output, I have a route to send this telemetry to the upstream. This is the idea of our demonstration, and then we will see the data inside the time series inside. Okay, so let's move to the environment. Let me stop this presentation here, and let me find the virtual machine with the OPC UA simulation server. I'm here using the process. You can use JavaScript, you can use C# to produce a simulated server, or if you prefer, you can use a PLC, for example, a Siemens one or another one that have an OPC UA inside it. Here we have the status of our server. It's running right now. This is the TCP connection address for that. And here I have the objects of that. So I have a counter that I told before. It comes from 0 to 89, and then it's moved back to 0. I have the motor working, so it's from 1 to 8 with a square wave, okay? And I have a vibration with a random signal from 235 to 242. That's I created these numbers from my head, okay? If you never saw an IoT Edge solution before, I will create one for you. Okay, to create a new IoT Edge solution, I will use the IoT extension. Here, the Azure IoT Edge extension. Okay, if you come here and see IoT, you can see the Azure IoT Edge extension. Okay, here on the Visual Studio Code. And let me come back, and I will create an IoT Edge and new IoT Edge solution. I believe my Docker is not running, but it will not a problem right now. Okay, I will create this over here, and I will talk the DP, the demo, OPC UA. All right, and select this folder. I give a name to it. Remember that we talked about a module of OPC UA, so I can go to the module from the marketplace, and here on the marketplace, let me close this. full screen. I want to OPC UA publisher. And then I will import this. It creates, yes, I trust on me. And here I have the deployment. So I do not have a module. No, because on the deployment, I will say that I'm using the OPC publisher and I'm using the latest one, the tag latest, and I will download the image from the Microsoft Container Registry.microsoft.com. Okay? But it's not all that I need. You talking about a C# module, a custom C# module? Okay, let's create it now. So, new IoT Edge module, and I will select a deployment template that I will include my module. Okay. I will put some links on the GitHub also to provide you some information about the basics of IoT Edge, okay? Of the basic of creating an IoT Edge project, right? So I will use this. Oh God, sorry about that. And new IoT Edge module. I selected the deployment template, and here I want a C# module, and then I will talk this. I will name it as filter. And here I need to provide the address of this image will be published. I will put on localhost, no problem, you can change it later, right? And it will create the module for me. It's creating, scaffolding the code. And then on modules, now I have the filter, I have the Docker files, and I have the C# code for me. Okay? So this is the idea when I talk about creating from scratch an IoT Edge code. Okay? Don't be afraid, it's too much information and too much things to do. I will provide you a link to my GitHub, and on the GitHub you will have all this code and all the steps that you need to create this demo in your environment. Okay, so just take care to take the idea of this demonstration, and then you can run it on your environment, right? What I have here is the solution of an IoT Edge, right? I have here the solution of IoT Edge. Here I have a deployment template. All IoT Edge solutions is based on a deployment template. So I have here a JSON file with my modules, and inside these modules, again, you will have all this information on the GitHub, okay? Here I have the versions of the IoT Edge Hub, IoT Edge Agent, and I have a custom module. I told you before about the protocol, translations, and alarms. What I'm doing inside this, it's a Docker container running on the IoT Edge. So here I have the Docker file to create the image and to build the image, okay? And here I have the code of this guy. The code of this guy is, I need to start the module, right? And then I need to pipe the message. So when I receive a message, when I route a message from a place like the OPC publisher module, okay? Let me take again this guy. Here, when I send a message from this OPC UA publisher module to the message processor, what I'm doing is to pipe this message over here. And then I receive the message. I can process the message. What I'm doing here, I'm doing nothing here. Just I receive the message, pick up the message and say, oh, put a line on the log. Say, I receive a message here, okay? And then wrap this and send it to the cloud again, okay? Let me show you the logs of the solution. So you see before the OPC UA sending the data, right? So let's put this on the corner. It's sending the data from the simulated server. I'm receiving this on the OPC UA publisher module, and then I'm receiving on the protocol translations and alarms. So if you, let me just put it here and become bigger a little bit. So I have counter, vibration, sending here, motor working, okay? So I have the variables here. I'm sending from the simulated to the OPC, to the OPC UA publisher. So I have an OPC session here. I have some message sent to the hub. And then I will receive this in the cloud, correct? And to receive this in the cloud, I will take a look over here. This is my IoT hub. Again, I will provide you all the instructions to create this. And the final of the data, the final destination is a TSI Explorer, for example. And let me take it from a small interval, like 15 seconds. And you can see an OPC UA motor working here on and off. Here I have the counter. So it goes and then 0, goes to 89, 0, goes to 89, 0. And here I have the vibration, okay? This is the idea, but to provide this on the time series inside, I had to create a type here. So I will provide you the type also. I will export this, I will download this type, and I will provide on the GitHub too for you to create your environment. So here is how I can do this, because the message that's coming is coming on this format, okay? So I have the node ID, the application, and all the values come inside a value. What I have to do on the time series inside is to translate this into a value to a new variable here. So I create a vibration. Let me take it here, advanced options. So I take where the display name string is equal vibration. And I have the magic happening here. All right. We have a short time for this presentation, but I will provide all the codes, and feel free to contact me if you have any other question. Okay. And here is the links. I will show and provide the links also on the resources of this presentation. Here is the GitHub repository, and you can find me on LinkedIn. A special thanks to Microsoft for supporting Data Platform Geeks and SQL Server Geeks community initiatives, and thank you very much. Do not forget to get the prizes, okay? So post your selfie with a hashtag DPS 2021, and thank you again for stopping by on this session. Bye bye.